Before we get into the list, keep in mind this is just my opinion, it's subjective. Almost all of this list changes depending how I feel at certain moments, except the first 5 I would say. So without further ado, let's start. Death Stranding 2 is a strong sequel to Kojima's original game and improves on nearly every part of the experience, while still keeping the strange and unmistakable style the series is known for. The storytelling feels a little clearer this time, although it is still very much a Kojima game, so there are plenty of unusual and surreal moments throughout the narrative. Visually the game is gorgeous, and the Decima engine continues to impress, with Death Stranding 2 using it to its full potential. Gameplay also feels much better than before. Traveling is more enjoyable, vehicles are easier and smoother to use, and combat has improved dramatically, making the overall experience feel stronger and more polished. Sleeping Dogs is a cult classic because it brings together 3 standout strengths: an authentic Hong Kong cinematic atmosphere, a deep martial arts combat system, and a compelling undercover cop story. You play as Wei Shen, a Chinese-American undercover police officer, who returns to Hong Kong to infiltrate and bring down the Sun On Ye, a powerful triad syndicate. As the story unfolds, its twists and turns become one of the game's biggest highlights, alongside its excellent hand-to-hand combat. It stands out from the games like Grand Theft Auto by focusing less on a chaotic gunplay and more on close quarters combat, cultural immersion, and cinematic storytelling. Resident Evil 2 Remake was released in 2019 and helped kick off a strong wave of modern game remakes. It is widely considered one of the best entries in Resident Evil series and often ranks highly on fan lists. The remake shifts the game to a third-person perspective and follows Leon and Claire as they try to escape zombie-infested Raccoon City. It also includes 2 scenarios, A and B, letting you choose which character's story to play. Visually, the game looks excellent and gameplay is extremely well executed, supported by solid story. My only real issue with the scenario structure, some events and some item placement do not fully line up between playthroughs, which can feel inconsistent. Still, this is the only minor nitpick in an otherwise great game.
Help me! Please!
Reanimal feels like a spiritual successor to Little Nightmares series, but this time it brings co-op to the experience. I played through it with my brother, so my opinion comes from that perspective. The gameplay is very similar to Little Nightmares, with some quality of life improvements. The story is strange and does not explain much directly, instead leaving a lot open to your own interpretation. Visually it's impressive and runs flawlessly on PS5. Overall, the game is a lot of fun. It was not as scary as I expected, but it still delivered an excellent co-op experience. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a sequel to Fallen Order, and an improvement is night and day. It is one of the best Jedi games out there, even surpassing The Force Unleashed. The gameplay borrows some Souls-like elements, but I would describe it more as an action-adventure game with light Souls-like influence. The story is where the game really shines, with strong writing and a good setup for a third entry. The cast is memorable, mixing returning characters with the new ones, and most of them are well written. Visually the game looks good, even if it's not the best looking title, and performance was solid when I played it, though not perfect.
Or where the line is drawn.
I first discovered Gravity Rush when it was offered for free on PSN, and after finishing it, I immediately wanted to play the sequel. Gravity Rush 2 is a well-regarded 2017 action-adventure game that improves on original in every single way. As a direct sequel, it gives Cat's story a satisfying conclusion, while expanding the gravity-shifting gameplay, letting players fall through the sky, walk on walls and fight in fast-paced aerial battles. Cat, joined by Sid and her former rival Raven, is pulled into another universe. There she works to free a floating city from oppressive rulers, while uncovering the truth about her mysterious past. The sequel also introduces 2 new gravity styles, Lunar style, which emphasizes speed and high jumps, and Jupiter style, which emphasizes heavy destructive attacks. My only major complaint is that the game is locked to 30 FPS by default, but apart from that there is very little I disliked. Horizon Forbidden West is a 2022 action-adventure game developed by Guerrilla Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. As a direct sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, it continues Aloy's journey through a post-apocalyptic world where dangerous animal-like machines dominate the landscape. Set 6 months after her first adventure, the game follows Aloy as she travels into Forbidden West, a dangerous frontier stretching across futuristic versions of California, Utah and Nevada. Her first mission is to stop deadly Crimson Blight that is destroying the ecosystem, forcing her to explore new lands, face powerful enemies and uncover more secrets about the world around her. The gameplay builds on the foundation of the first game, while expanding exploration and combat. Horizon Forbidden West gives players a large open world to explore and wide range of machines to fight. Combat focuses on studying enemy weak points and using weapons such as bows, slings, tripwires and elemental tools to gain advantage. The sequel also improves traversal by adding new tools including pullcaster, grappling hook, the shield wing glider and diving gear for underwater exploration. These additions make movement more varied and help the world feel larger, more vertical and more interactive than before. Halo 2 is a legendary 2004 third-person shooter developed by Bungie and published by Microsoft Game Studios. Halo 2 expanded the gameplay of the original by introducing several important innovations. One of the most memorable additions was dual wielding, which allowed players to use two smaller weapons at the same time, such as SMGs or plasma rifles. This gave combat more variety and made encounters feel faster and more flexible. The campaign also stood out because it followed two playable protagonists, Master Chief and Arbiter. By shifting between these two characters, the story gave players different perspectives on the war between humanity and Covenant, making the conflict feel larger and more complex. The game also made battles more dynamic, with vehicle hijacking, which let players jump onto enemy vehicle and force out the driver during combat. Combined with its strong campaign, memorable characters and groundbreaking online features, Halo 2 remains one of the most important shooters ever made.
That is another Halo.
So this is what my father found.
The Prophet of Regret is planning to activate Halo.
Are you sure?
Get tactical, Marines!
All right. Shoot.
Cyberpunk 2077 is an open-world action role-playing game developed and published by CD Projekt Red. Set in the dystopian city of Night City, the game follows V, a mercenary searching for a unique implant that could hold the key to immortality. Although Cyberpunk 2077 had a rough launch, its current version is much stronger thanks to major updates and added content. The 2.0 update significantly overhauled the game's core systems, including skill trees, police AI, vehicle combat, and cyberware progression. These changes made gameplay feel more polished, flexible, and closer to what many players originally expected. The Phantom Liberty expansion also helps strengthen the game's reputation. It adds Dogtown, a dangerous new district, and introduces a spy thriller storyline featuring Idris Elba. With its darker tone, new relic skill tree and a stronger narrative focus, the expansion gives players another reason to return to Night City. The Ultimate Edition brings everything together by including the base game and the Phantom Liberty expansion in one complete package. In current state, Cyberpunk 2077 feels like a much more complete and refined experience than it did at release, making it easier to appreciate its world, characters and ambitious RPG system.
The future is yours for the taking.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is a masterful survival horror remake, developed and published by Capcom. Reimagining the groundbreaking 2005 original, it follows US agent Leon S. Kennedy as he travels to a remote and hostile European village to rescue the president's kidnapped daughter, Ashley Graham. The remake modernized the original without losing what made it so memorable. One of its biggest improvements is the expanded knife system, which allows Leon to parry enemy attacks, block dangerous strikes such as chainsaw swings, and perform stealth takedowns. Because the knife now has durability, players also have to manage it carefully and repair it when needed. Movement and combat also feels much smoother than in the original. Leon can now move and shoot at the same time, which makes encounters faster, more flexible, and more in line with the modern action games. This change is a major improvement over the original stop and aim design, while still keeping the tension that defines Resident Evil 4. Ashley's role has also been improved through better escort mechanics. Her AI feels less frustrating, and ability to tell her to stay close or to keep some distance makes combat situations easier to manage. These updates help the remake feel polished and accessible while still respecting the structure and atmosphere of the original game.
Let us rescue the Princess Dulcinea!
You're gonna hurt yourself.
Halo 3 is a landmark 2007 first-person shooter developed by Bungie and published by Microsoft Game Studios. As the conclusion to original Halo trilogy, it follows Master Chief and the Arbiter as they try to stop Covenant from activating the Halo network and wiping out all sentient life across the galaxy. Its launch was massive, breaking entertainment records and proving just how important the series has become. Halo 3 also stood out because of the new tools and sandboxing features it introduced. Forge mode gave players the ability to place, move and edit objects, weapons and map elements, making it possible to create custom maps and game modes. This added huge replay value and helped community shape its own experiences beyond the main campaign and standard multiplayer. Combat was also made more dynamic through equipment items such as bubble shield, regenerator, power drainer and grav lift. These deployable tools gave players more tactical options during battles and added another layer of creativity to a sandbox. Combined with its memorable campaign, strong multiplayer and the community-based features, Halo 3 remains one of the most important shooters of its generation. Split Fiction follows Mio Hudson, a reserved sci-fi writer, and Zoe Foster, an outgoing fantasy author, after they are drawn into what seems like a dream publishing opportunity. Instead, they are connected to machines that can bring their ideas to life, only to discover that the company behind it wants to steal their creative work. When Mio tries to back out, the struggle traps both writers inside malfunctioning virtual simulation, built from their own imagination. The game is built entirely around co-op, meaning it cannot be played alone. Two players must work together either through couch split screen or online multiplayer, which makes cooperation central to the experience. Because Mio and Zoe came from different creative worlds, the game constantly shifts between sci-fi and fantasy settings, moving from dark cyberpunk cities to colorful fairy tale environments. Like It Takes Two, Split Fiction keeps gameplay fresh by changing mechanics from one chapter to the next. This consistent variety helps the game feel unpredictable and creative. Generous checkpoint system also keeps pace smooth. If one player dies during platforming, they can quickly respawn next to their partner, and during boss fights a fallen player can rapidly rejoin the action. Combined with its imaginative world, fast-changing mechanics and a strong co-op focus, Split Fiction stands as a creative and energetic multiplayer adventure. I played it with my brother and my only major complaint is that the game feels too easy.
Dragon eggs that hatch.
Hey! Stop licking.
And then they become a little bit bigger dragons with new abilities. But in the end, they grow up to be full-ass dragons. And now, you can fly around and kick ass.
Stellar Blade is this fast-paced action-adventure game developed by Korean studio Shift Up and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It puts players in the role of Evie, a member of 7th Airborne Squad, who is sent to a ruined post-apocalyptic Earth to help save humanity from a grotesque parasitic alien threat known as Netiba. The combat is one of the game's biggest strengths, taking clear inspiration from titles like Nier Automata. Fights focus on precise parries, perfect dodges and aggressive counterattacks, which help fill Evie's beta and burst gauges for powerful cinematic abilities. This gives gameplay a fast, stylish and skill-based rhythm. Outside of the combat, Stellar Blade mixes linear action sections with large, semi-open areas such as Wasteland and the Grey Desert. These zones encourage players to search for upgrade materials, complete side quests for the survivors of Zion, and take part in optional activities like fishing. This adds variety to the pacing and gives the world more room to breathe. The game also includes a large number of unlockable outfits, hairstyles and cosmetic accessories for Evie. Many of these can be found hidden throughout the world or crafted by collecting design patterns, giving exploration an extra reward beyond combat upgrades. Combined with its sharp actions, striking post-apocalyptic setting and strong sense of style, Stellar Blade stands out as a polished and memorable action-adventure game. pragmatic sci-fi action-adventure game developed and published by Capcom. Set in the near future, it takes place on a cold lunar research station that has been overtaken by rogue artificial intelligence known as IDUS. The story follows Hugh Williams, a heavily armored spacefarer sent to investigate a sudden communication blackout, and Diana, a mysterious advanced android created from a versatile material called lunafilament. After becoming trapped on a station, Hugh and Diana must work together to survive, fight hostile machines and find a way back to Earth. The gameplay is built around controlling both characters during combat. Players guide Hugh from a third-person perspective, using his suit, jackpad movement and heavy weapons to fight enemy robots. At the same time, Diana handles real-time hacking puzzles that weaken enemy defenses and expose critical weak points, allowing Hugh to deal much more damage. These combinations of shooting, movement and hacking makes Pragmata stand out from the more traditional action games. By forcing players to manage both Hugh's survival and Diana's puzzle solving at the same time, the game creates a tense and brain-tensing combat rhythm. Combined with its unusual sci-fi setting and central partnership, Pragmata feels like one of Capcom's more distinctive modern action-adventure games.
And I'm going to Earth with you.
We're a team, right? A whole new life. If you're ready.
Okay, then let's go together.
Game stand out is how it turns survival horror idea into a tense tactical combat sandbox. The merge mechanics keeps pressure high, as fallen enemies can be absorbed by mutants and become armored threats if not dealt quickly. Limited ammo, meaningful crafting, gravity shifts, hazards and weapon transformations make each encounter demanding but rewarding once the system clicks. The atmosphere is equally strong, combining bleak post-apocalyptic wasteland with cold, brutalist architecture inspired by 1980s communist-era Poland. This gives a war distinctive sense of dread, while the grotesque orphans and dark electronic synth soundtrack make the experience even more unsettling. The story adds a strong sense of mystery through its slow burn narrative and temporal rift, where the traveler extracts essence from the dead before a historical apocalypse. These moments blur reality and affect traveler psychologically, making the plot feel personal and disturbing. With 3 endings across normal playthrough and a new game plus, the game offers a solid replay value. Astrobot is one of the best 3D platformers on PlayStation 5 and joyful celebration of PlayStation's history. Developed by Team Asobi, it follows Astro after PS5 mothership is attacked and his crew is scattered across space. The story is simple, but it works because the game focuses more on a charm, creativity and constantly surprising level design. What makes the game stand out is how well it uses DualSense controller. Haptic feedback and adapted triggers make different surfaces, attacks and gadgets feel physical in a way few games manage. Each world also introduces creative power-ups, from rocket boosts to time-slowing abilities, keeping the platforming fresh from start to finish. On top of that, the many VIP bots dressed as a classic PlayStation characters give the adventure a strong sense of nostalgia without feeling forced. The game was also strongly supported after launch, with free updates including speedrun stages, holiday content and harder Vicious Void Galaxy challenges. Combined with its polished gameplay, colorful worlds and excellent use of PS5 hardware, Astrobot feels like a complete and memorable platforming experience. And its Game of the Year win at the Game Awards 2024 feels well deserved. Resident Evil Requiem brings the series back to its survival horror roots, while still keeping the actions-focused style of modern remakes. The story follows Grace Ashcroft, an FBI analyst investigating the disturbing case connected to her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, and Leon S. Kennedy, now an older and more experienced agent, still haunted by the legacy of Raccoon City. This dual protagonist setup gives a game a strong contrast, with Gray's sections focusing more on vulnerability, stealth and limited resources, while Leon's chapters lean into faster combat and crowd control. The ability to switch between first-person and third-person perspectives gives an experience extra flexibility, while the RE engine helps make environments feel dark, detailed and oppressive. The gameplay also adds new survival mechanics, including blood collection for crafting ammunition and supplies, which makes resource management feel more intense. By combining Grace's slower horror-focused gameplay with Leon's more aggressive action style, Resident Evil Requiem feels like a strong blend of classic tension and modern Resident Evil design.
Consider was where it all began for me.
I'm coming with you.
We can talk. What do you want to know?
I don't want any more regrets. Whatever it takes, count me in.
God of War 2018 moves Kratos from Greek mythology into harsher world of Norse legend. Set years after his revenge against Olympian gods, the story follows Kratos and his son Atreus as they travel through Midgard to scatter Faye's ashes from highest peak in the realm. What makes Journey powerful is not only the danger they face from the monster and ghosts like Baldur, but also the emotional struggle between father and son. Kratos tries to hide his violent past, with learning how to guide Atreus, who does not yet understand his own divine nature. The gameplay also changes the franchise in major way, replacing older fixed camera hack and slash style with more grounded cinematic approach, built around a continuous one-shot. The Leviathan axe gives combat a satisfying rhythm, since it can be thrown, recalled and used both for fighting and puzzle solving. Atreus also plays an important role by assisting in battle, translating runes and helping Kratos grow as a character. With its emotional story, refined combat and strong Norse setting, God of War feels like both a fresh start and one of the strongest entries in the series. Dead Space Remake is an excellent modern update of the 2008 sci-fi survival horror classic. Rebuilt by Motive Studio with Frostbite engine, it keeps core story of Isaac Clarke, an engineer sent to repair UCG Ishimura after ship suddenly goes silent. What begins as a rescue mission for his girlfriend Nicole quickly turns into a nightmare, as Isaac discovers the crew has been transformed into necromorph, and that outbreak is connected to mysterious alien artifact known as Marker. The remake improves the original in smart ways, without losing its oppressive atmosphere. Isaac is now fully voiced, giving him more personality and emotional weight, while the Ishimura feels more seamless and believable thanks to its interconnected design and improved zero-gravity movement. Combat is also more intense because of the peeling system, which makes enemy damage clearer and more brutal. An intensity director keeps exploration unpredictable with dynamic scares and enemy encounters. Together these changes make Dead Space Remake feel faithful to the original, while also standing as one of the strongest modern survival horror remakes. Ghosts of Yotei is standalone sequel to Ghosts of Tsushima and moves series 300 years forward to 1603 in the wild northern region of Ezo, modern Hokkaido. Instead of following samurai like Jin Sakai, the story centers around Atsu, a wandering mercenary who returns home after 16 years to hunt down Yotei 6, the outlaws who murdered her family and left her for dead. This revenge story gives the game a darker tone, while the landscape of Ezo, from snowy tundras to open grassland beneath Mount Yotei, make the world feel beautiful but dangerous. The gameplay keeps the cinematic style of the first game, but adds more freedom and variety. Players can choose which members of Yotei 6 to pursue, take on bounties and explore Atsu past through flashbacks that add emotional weight to her journey. The combat is also expanded with weapons such as dual swords, matchlock rifle and kusarigama, while the growing legend and bounty system make Atsu feel increasingly feared across Ezo. With its open world exploration, personal revenge story and a stronger focus on player choice, Ghost of Yotei feels like a fresh but familiar evolution of Sucker Punch's samurai formula.
Creatures such as you and I cannot resist the call of revenge.
God of War Ragnarok is a powerful conclusion to Norse saga and a strong follow-up to 2018 game, set 3 years later during Fimbulwinter. The story follows Kratos and a teenage Atreus as they travel across 9 realms and try to face prophecy of Ragnarok. The emotional core comes from Atreus searching for answers about his identity as Loki, while Kratos struggles with fear of losing his son and repeating the mistakes of the past. The journey is made even more intense by threats from Freya, Thor and Odin, who each push the story towards its mythological end. The gameplay expands the foundation of the reboot, with more variety in combat, traversal and character control. Kratos still uses the Leviathan Axe and Blades of Chaos, but the spear adds a new tactical layer with ranged attacks and detonations. Atreus also becomes more important, with playable sections that give him a faster style built around archery and magic. The larger realms, improved movement, stronger boss fights and a free Valhalla DLC adding even more depth. God of War Ragnarok feels like a complete and emotional finale to one of PlayStation's strongest modern stories.
War is not the only way.
Stop thinking like a father for a moment and start thinking like a general!
God of War 3 Remastered is a powerful update to 2010 PlayStation 3 Classic and one of the most memorable entries in Kratos' original Greek saga. The game picks up right after God of War 2, with Kratos leading Titans in brutal assault on Mount Olympus. Driven by revenge, he sets out to destroy Zeus and the rest of Olympian gods, creating some of the biggest and most cinematic boss fights in the series, including battle against Poseidon, Hades, Kronos and Hercules. The remaster keeps the classic fixed camera hack and slash gameplay but makes the experience smoother and sharper. Running at high resolution at 60 frames per second, the combat feels faster and more responsive. With its huge scale, violent combat and dramatic conclusion to Kratos' war against Olympus, God of War 3 Remastered still stands out as one of the most intense action games in the series, and for me it's still the best God of War game.
I will have my revenge!
Ghost of Tsushima is a beautiful open-world action-adventure game from Sucker Punch and one of the PlayStation's strongest modern titles. Set in 1274 during the first Mongol invasion of Japan. The game follows Jin Sakai, a samurai who survives the defeat at Komoda Beach and must protect his home from Cotton Khan's army. What makes the story interesting is Jin's internal conflict, because he slowly realizes the traditional samurai code is not enough to save Tsushima, forcing him to become the feared warrior known as Ghost. The gameplay blends cinematic sword fighting with stealth in a way that makes exploration and combat feel very satisfying. The guiding wind replaces a normal minimap, helping the world feel more natural. Different sword stances make battles more tactical against different enemy types. Jin can use ghost weapons like kunai, smoke bombs and other tools when direct combat is not the best option. Combined with its stunning landscape, strong atmosphere and emotional samurai story, Ghost of Tsushima stands out as one of the most memorable open world games I have played.
I am samurai, but I will sacrifice everything for my home.
The Mass Effect trilogy is one of the most memorable science fiction RPG series, mixing space opera storytelling with strong character choice. Set in the late 22nd century, it follows humanity as it becomes part of a huge galactic civilization, filled with alien races, political tensions and ancient mysteries. At the center of the story is Commander Shepard, a customizable elite soldier whose choice, relationships and decisions carry across all three games. This makes the journey feel personal, especially as Shepard uncovers the truth of the Reapers, and ancient machines that return every 50,000 years to wipe out organic life. Across the trilogy, players explore planets, recruit memorable crew, build alliances, and make moral choices that shape the galaxy. The mix of exploration, emotional storytelling, and large-scale conflict is what makes Mass Effect trilogy stand out as one of the greatest RPG experiences in gaming.
You were born to do this.
Marvel's Spider-Man is one of the best superhero games ever made, and one of the Insomniac's strongest titles. Instead of retelling Spider-Man's origin story, the game follows a more experienced Peter Parker, who has already been protecting New York for years. This makes the story more interesting, because it balances his life as a struggling young adult with the pressure of being Spider-Man. When Kingpin's arrest creates a power vacuum, the inner demons rise as a new threat, and the Peaker is forced to protect City while also watching his mentor, Otto Octavius, slowly turn into one of his greatest enemies. The gameplay is just as strong as the story. Web swinging through Manhattan feels fast, smooth, and extremely satisfying, making simple movement one of the game's biggest highlights. Combat is also fun and stylish, mixing dodges, gadgets, web attacks, and acrobatic combos in a way that makes every fight feel energetic. One of the highlights for me gameplay-wise was the stealth. With its emotional story, polished gameplay, and amazing sense of speed and freedom, Marvel's Spider-Man stands out as a great open-world action game and one of the best Spider-Man adaptations. Halo CE is a legendary first-person shooter and one of the most important launch titles for original Xbox. Developed by Bungie, it helped define how console shooters would work for years to come. Set in 26th century, the game follows Master Chief, a Spartan super soldier, and his AI companion Cortana, as they fight alien Covenant on a mysterious ring world called Halo. The story becomes even more intense when the flawed, a danger parasitic threat is unleashed and turns the conflict in a fight for survival. What makes Halo stand out is how much it changed shooter design. The two-weapon limit, regenerating shield, vehicle combat, and simple but satisfying mix of guns, grenades, and melee attacks made the gameplay feel tactical and exciting. With its memorable campaign, strong atmosphere, and a huge influence on FPS genre, Halo CE remains my favorite Halo game to date, and with its release of a remake I couldn't be more happier.
They believe they can break us. They believe the fight ends here.
Uncharted 2 Among Thieves is one of the Naughty Dog's greatest action-adventure games, and a major step forward for cinematic storytelling in gaming. The story follows Nathan Drake as he searches for the lost fleet of Marco Polo and mythical kingdom of Shambhala, while racing against ruthless Zoran Lazarevich, who wants powerful Sintamani stone for himself. The adventure takes players across memorable locations from Istanbul to Nepal to Tibet and Shambhala, giving a game a strong sense of scale and excitement. Gameplay blends climbing, cover-based shooting, stealth, and huge set pieces in a way that still feels exciting today. The famous train sequence remains one of the best moments in action games, showing how well Uncharted 2 mixes gameplay with blockbuster spectacle. In the Nathan Drake collection, game also benefits from sharper visuals and smoother 60 FPS performance, making it the best way to experience it now. With its strong pacing, memorable characters, and cinematic adventure, Uncharted 2 remains one of the best games in the series and one of the greatest PlayStation exclusives. Uncharted 4 A Thief's End is a powerful conclusion to Nathan Drake's story, and one of the Naughty Dog's best action-adventure games. 3 years after Uncharted 3, it shows Nathan trying to live a normal life with Elena, before his elder brother Sam suddenly shows up. To help him, Nathan is pulled back in the world of treasure hunting, this time searching for the lost pirate colony of Libertalia and Henry Avery's legendary treasure, while facing Rafe Adler and Nadine Ross. The gameplay builds on everything the series is known for. but adds more freedom through grappling hook, larger open areas, improved stealth and more natural combat. These changes make adventure feel bigger without losing the cinematic pacing that defines Uncharted. In the Legacy of Thieves collection, the game also benefits from sharper visuals, smoother performance, DualSense support and faster loading. With its emotional story, exciting set pieces and a strong ending for Nathan Drake, Uncharted 4 stands out as one of the best PlayStation exclusives ever made.
Or we can just end it right here.
There's gotta be another way. I need you on this one.
The Last of Us is one of the Naughty Dog's most important games, and one of the strongest survival horror stories in gaming. Set years after mutated infection destroys society, the game follows Joel, a harness smuggler still grieving his daughter, and Ellie, a young girl who is immune to infection. Their journey across ruined United States starts as a mission to find possible cure, but it slowly becomes a deeply emotional story about trust, loss and survival. The gameplay supports that tone perfectly, with limited ammo, tense stealth and constant resource management. Crafting happens in real time, so every decision feels risky, whether we are making a health kit, a Molotov or a shield to survive a clicker attack. Human enemies flank and search for you, while infected create panic with their speed and sound-based hunting. The mix of emotional storytelling, brutal survival mechanics and unforgettable characters is what makes The Last of Us one of the most powerful PlayStation games ever made.
You know that, right?
After all we've been through, everything that I've done, it can't be for nothing.
Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is one of Insomniac's best action-adventure platformers and a perfect showcase for PlayStation 5. The story begins when Dr. Nefario steals the Menacinator and accidentally tears open the multiverse, separating Ratchet & Clank in a dystopian dimensions when Nefarious rules as an emperor. This introduces Rivet, a new Lombox resistance fighter, and a Kit, her robot companion, who join the heroes in trying to repair reality and stop dimensional chaos. The gameplay mixes fast platforming with the series' chaotic and creative weapon combat. Rift portals let players move instantly across arenas and dimensions, showing off the game's impressive speed and visual polish, while weapons like Topari, Splinker and Shatterbomb keep battles fun and unpredictable. DualSense features, colorful walls and smooth movement make adventure feel polished from start to finish. With strong characters, exciting gameplay and amazing technical presentation, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart feels like a worthy number 1 on this list.
Oh my!